Deputy Speaker, in this matter of public importance, I would like to begin by referring to the wording of the topic and the order of the words chosen. It says, "This government's failure to keep Australians safe and the economy strong." It is put in that order because that is the order of priority. Of course, Australians are suffering throughout this country, and the cost of living is chief amongst them, and very close second is housing. But we put keeping Australians safe first because that is the fundamental duty of government. And to follow my friend, the member for Flinders, who referred to the specific incidents and the specific crimes that occurred on the 7th of October, it is more than just keeping Australians safe. It is about keeping children safe, because the people who prosecuted that attack on that day attacked teenagers at a concert, children in their homes and babies in their cots. And this isn't some isolated part of the world that has no connection to us. You only have to open a newspaper to see concerts run by Taylor Swift get cancelled because of a fear of teenagers being killed and attacked. So when we turn our mind to keeping Australians safe, let's not forget what is at stake. It is everything. And Deputy Speaker, what we have seen in the last 2 weeks has been a race to the gutter, not only by the crossbench but by the government. When we have asked proper questions about that crucial topic, some have used the word racist, but then others have used euphemisms like divide and fear, as if that's okay, and you're not hinting at the very same thing. The very same thing. And Deputy Speaker, I rise here as a migrant to this nation, and I rise here as someone who is only alive because of the courage of people of Muslim faith who saved my life. I never forget that, and I acknowledge their contributions to saving many Australians' lives in the war in Afghanistan and in other wars. There would be many more names on that war memorial, and I count my own amongst them. So when we ask questions like this, and the allegation is thrown out that we're doing it as some sort of discrimination against Palestinians or Muslims, I totally reject that. And I totally reject that any of my colleagues think otherwise. And think about what you are saying. What you are saying, if that is true, that a huge percentage of the House of Representatives are people of such bad character that they think that poorly of people of a dominant faith in this country. It cannot be true, and you know it's not true, and it shouldn't be prosecuted that way. Shouldn't be prosecuted that way. And Speaker, in my experiences in a conflict zone, I also know this to be true. We hear of the fog of war, and many think of the fog of war as that moment when there's incomplete information and a particular person has their fight or flight system kick in. Their mouth is dry, their heart is racing, because they don't know what is happening in all of the chaos that is in war. But the fog of war applies to information too. And Deputy Speaker, again and again and again, we had on-the-ground missions confirm that the intelligence we were given was wrong. It happened all the time. All the time. And I noticed it. I noticed it, Deputy Speaker, when I had the experience of someone who worked in a headquarters and then became a platoon commander. Getting on the ground, looking at people in the eye, is the only form of intelligence and information that you can rely on. The only form. The only form. And yet what we have seen from this government is a cavalier attitude to that process. A complete dismissal of it. A complete dismissal of it. And we've had the Treasurer and many others get up and say, well, why aren't you asking questions about cost of living? Why aren't you asking questions about cost of living? Because the government didn't answer the questions that we've put to them. Didn't answer the questions that we've put to them. And in fact, there was a bristling that we dared even ask them. And let's go to some of the questions. Asked about the cancellation of visas, the Prime Minister talked about a journalist and said only that any cancellations were offshore. Asked about visa security vetting, he talked about robo-debt. Asked if he was making Australia less safe, he talked about Sir Robert Menzies. Asked about face-to-face interviews and biometric testing, again the only vetting that matters, the Prime Minister talked about the coalition. And today, when asked about what the police, state police and federal police have told him, what did he reply? He talked about nominations for councils in New South Wales.